They didn't believe in my dream. Some of them laughed. Some ignored me. And for a moment, I almost believed them. But what happened next changed everything. It started as something small. Just an idea. Not loud. Not impressive. Not something that made people stop and pay attention. Just a thought that kept coming back, again and again. A vision of something more. Something better. Something different from the life I was living. And at first, I didn't tell anyone. Because I wasn't sure myself. But the more I thought about it, the more real it felt. So eventually, I shared it. Not with everyone. Just a few people. People I thought would understand. People I thought would support me. But instead of excitement, I got silence. Confused looks. Half smiles that didn't feel genuine. And then, the comments started. You're serious? That's what you want to do? You might want to be realistic. They didn't say it directly. But I could feel it. They didn't believe in it. And honestly, I understood why. Because from the outside, it didn't make sense. There was no guarantee. No clear path. No proof it would work. Just belief. And belief is invisible to everyone except the person who holds it. So to them, it looked like nothing. But to me, it felt like everything. As time went on, the doubt became louder. Not always in direct words, but in tone. In reactions. In the way people responded when I talked about what I was building. Some laughed. Not in a harsh way. But enough for me to notice. Enough to make me question myself. Others tried to be supportive. But their advice carried doubt. You should have a backup plan. Don't put too much into this. What if it doesn't work? And the more I heard it, the more it started affecting me. Because when people around you doubt you consistently, it slowly becomes your internal voice. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because now, you're not just fighting external doubt. You're fighting yourself. There was a moment when I almost stopped. Not because I didn't believe anymore, but because I was tired. Tired of explaining. Tired of not seeing results. Tired of feeling like I was the only one who believed in this. And for a second, I thought about letting it go. Choosing something easier. Something safer. Something people would understand. Because it would have been easier. To fit in. To follow what made sense. To stop chasing something uncertain. But something inside me didn't let me. That moment. That quiet, internal battle changed everything. Because for the first time, I realized something most people never admit. Quitting doesn't always come from failure. Sometimes, it comes from pressure. The pressure to fit in. The pressure to be understood. The pressure to follow a path that makes sense to everyone else. And I felt all of it. Every opinion. Every doubt. Every subtle reminder that what I was doing didn't look real yet. But in that moment, I had to choose. Do I follow the noise? Or do I follow the vision? And the truth is, there was no guarantee. No clear sign that it would work. No visible reward waiting ahead. Just belief. And belief can feel fragile when it stands alone. But I made a decision. Not based on confidence, but on commitment. I told myself, I may not know how this will work, but I'm not stopping. And that decision didn't feel powerful at the time. It felt uncertain, uncomfortable, even risky. But it was real. Because sometimes, The strongest decision you can make is the one you make without proof. And from that moment on, everything I did came from a different place. Not from needing validation, but from refusing to quit. After that decision, I changed my approach completely. I stopped talking about it. Stopped explaining my vision to people who couldn't see it. Stopped trying to convince anyone that it would work. Because I realized something important. Not everyone deserves to hear your plans. Especially when they don't understand your purpose. So I became quiet. Not inactive. Just focused. I shifted my energy away from words. And into action. Because talking feels productive. But it doesn't create results. Work does. And for the first time, I started working without needing acknowledgement. No updates. No announcements. No validation. Just consistent effort. Day after day. Even when it felt like nothing was happening. Even when progress wasn't visible. Even when doubt tried to creep back in. Because I understood something most people miss. Silence is powerful. It removes distractions. It protects your focus. And it allows you to build. Without pressure. So while everyone else was talking, I was working. Quietly. Relentlessly. At the beginning, nothing changed. No big breakthroughs. No sudden success. Just effort. Repeated over and over again. And if I'm being honest, that was the hardest part. Because when you're putting in work, and you can't see results, it tests your patience. It makes you question if what you're doing even matters. There were days I wondered, is this worth it? Am I wasting my time? Because progress wasn't loud. It wasn't obvious. It was slow. Invisible. But here's what I learned in that phase. Growth doesn't always show up immediately. Sometimes, it's happening beneath the surface. Skills improving quietly. Discipline getting stronger. Mindset becoming sharper. All without visible proof. And that's why most people quit. Not because they're not capable, but because they don't see results fast enough. But I kept going. Not because it was easy, but because I understood something powerful. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Then one day, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't life-changing. But it was real. A small win. Something finally worked. Something finally clicked. And in that moment, everything changed. Because for the first time, I had proof. Not hope. Not belief. Not assumption. Proof. And that small win did more for my mindset than anything else. Because it confirmed something I needed to know. This is possible. And once you know something is possible, you stop doubting the journey. You start trusting the process. That one small result gave me energy, focus, clarity, and most importantly, confidence. Not loud confidence, but quiet certainty. The kind that doesn't need validation. Because now, I wasn't just working blindly. I was building with direction. After that first win, everything started to feel different. Not easier, but clearer. Because now I understood what worked. And once you understand that, you can repeat it, improve it, scale it. And that's exactly what I did. I doubled down. I refined my approach. I became more focused, more intentional. And slowly, the results started coming more frequently. Not all at once, but consistently. And consistency creates momentum. And momentum changes everything. Because now, you're not forcing progress. You're writing it. And the more I moved, the more things aligned. Opportunities appeared. Ideas became clearer. Execution became sharper. And what once felt impossible started feeling inevitable. And then, something interesting happened. People started noticing. The same people who once questioned me, doubted me, laughed quietly. Now, they were watching. Some became curious. Some became supportive. And some acted like they always believed. But by then, it didn't matter. Because I had already learned something important. Validation that comes after results is not the same as belief that comes before them. And I wasn't doing this for approval anymore. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just continuing. Because now, the vision that once lived only in my mind was becoming real. And that was enough. Looking back now, the biggest win wasn't the success. It wasn't the results. It wasn't the recognition. It was the decision to keep going when it didn't make sense. Because that's where everything changed. That moment, when quitting felt easier, but continuing meant growth. That's the moment most people miss. But it's also the moment that defines everything. Because success doesn't start when things work. It starts when you refuse to stop. And if there's one thing I know now, it's this. People will doubt what they don't understand. They will question what they can't see. And they will laugh at what hasn't worked yet. But your job is not to convince them. Your job is to continue. Because one day, the same thing they laughed at will be the reason they respect you. Listen. They laughed at your dream, not because it was impossible, but because they couldn't see it. And that's something you need to understand. People don't believe in what they don't understand. So if you're still waiting for validation, if you're still waiting for people to agree with you, you're already slowing yourself down. Direct hit. Here's what you need to do. Step 1. Stop explaining your vision. Not everyone deserves to understand your journey. Move in silence. Let results speak. Step 2. Stay consistent when nothing is happening. The hardest phase is when progress is invisible. That's where most people quit. Don't be most people. Step 3. Use doubt as fuel. Every time someone doubts you, let it remind you why you started. Step 4. Focus on progress, not approval. You don't need applause. You need discipline. Because one day, the same people who laughed will ask you how you did it. Don't stop. If this message hit you, backhand index pointing right. Subscribe now for more billionaire backstories. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We build mindsets that win. And if you're still going, no matter what, comment, "I will not quit."